Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. Back with another video a day until this channel hits 100K, and we are only 25 away.
No, I said 25,000 away. At this pace, you have 1,250 more daily videos to go. You need to keep feeding me videos, fat human boy.
Sorry, that was my boss. Today, what I want to do is talk about 5 things that I actually miss about my Ford. 5 things that Ford did better than GM. So number 5, this actually came up yesterday on my way back from my little off-road adventure, and it dawned on me that I don't miss Blue Cruise. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, you know, actually maybe I do a little bit. Yeah, it was pretty nice. Blue Cruise is Ford's self-driving. It's really not self-driving. You gotta have your hands on the wheel, eyes on the road, and then it's basically just like a really, really good adaptive cruise control where it stays in the center lane. You can actually hit the blinker, it'll change lanes for you. But yesterday when I was driving with adaptive cruise control on this truck, I was thinking like, do I really miss it? Because this truck actually has really good adaptive cruise control. It's a little bit smoother in my opinion on the throttle and brake inputs, but it's a lot jerkier on the actual lane centering. So this does have lane centering to a degree where it'll kind of keep you in the lane, but it'll also kind of ping pong off those lanes. Ford would actually take the lines on the road and mathematically center you in between them, and also then put you off to one side or the other. If you were like alongside a tractor trailer, it would push you to the far side of the lane. That was really nice. Blue Cruise was amazing for substituting basically knee driving while you're eating a sandwich or something like that. Those kinds of things it was great for. It was kind of annoying though, because it would always ask for inputs. There were so many like bing bong beeps that would happen in that truck that it would actually get as annoying as it was great at the same time. So yes, I miss it. Adaptive cruise control, probably all that you need. More so because Blue Cruise now, it's $2,100 for the hardware and $495 for the year. It's like a membership thing. I don't think it's that much better than adaptive cruise control to warrant $2,100 out of pocket plus about $500 a year. I don't know, but yeah, there's times that I do miss it. Number 4, another feature that I kind of thought was gimmicky that I wouldn't miss, but I do. It's that power tailgate. The GM truck, it does have the remote release, so if you're kind of walking out of Home Depot, you got a lot of things and you want to remote pop your trunk tailgate, you can do that. But the amount of times with that power tailgate that I would walk up behind the truck with a handful of things and just nudge it closed with my knee, and then it would take it the rest of the way. It was a really nice feature, and I do find myself missing it. And when you start talking about price points in these trucks, those are one of those features that you're just like, now I feel like it's supposed to be there, because these trucks are just so dang expensive that it feels like a value add at that point. So I do miss that tailgate. Now I do like the Multi-Pro tailgate better than Ford with the built-in step. I think the Multi-Pro tailgate is a better tailgate in terms of utility, but I do miss that power tailgate for sure. Number 3, and this is a big one, Pro Power on board. Man, I miss that. I miss being able to plug in virtually anything. I actually had an air compressor permanently mounted in the bed of that F-150 for things like off-roading, so you could easily air down and then easily air back up. The GM trucks only give you 400 watts of usable power. That's basically like 3 amps. It's like nothing, and it's shared between all of those outlets. The Ford had a 7.2 kilowatt generator. You couldn't basically stress that thing out. I mean, you could run 240 on it. It was insane, and I really do miss that. I never used it for anything like that, but I definitely miss that Pro Power on board. I think that's a feature that all trucks these days should come with. It was nice, and it certainly is missed. Number 2, and I do think this is actually a big one, is exterior lighting. The Ford had so many lights around it, like just when you walked up to it at night, it would greet you with puddle lamps, and like everything around that truck would light up with like a nice white glow. And this truck, I actually never realized how much I loved that feature on the F-150 until it was taken away on the GMC. Ford does that ambient lighting around the outside so much better. Actually, they do it, GM doesn't. It's really that cut and dry. Now, I did add on the amp power steps, the Vision power steps that give a little bit of ambient light off of the power step, and I think it's necessary. These trucks, it's just like walking up to a cruise ship. They're so big, and having no lights around them. Like at night, if you're in a really dark parking lot, it's like, man, it's really, really dark out here. So again, a feature at those price points that I do wish that GM would do a little bit better, and I miss it. And number one, and probably the biggest thing that I knew when I bought my Ford, actually this feature alone is what got me to even look at Ford in the first place, because I thought it was such a genius design: the interior work surface. Now, those of you who are literally just taking your trucks, commuting from home to work, you may not even understand why that's such a big deal, but as somebody who, as a project manager, would sit in my truck with my laptop out, such an awesome feature to be able to park the truck, fold out the center console, have your laptop there. It is a little bit weird, like working off to the side, but it is way better than having it on your lap, because it just, I don't know, it's just more space. It literally becomes like a mobile office. And I don't know how it took so long for people to figure out that that was a good idea. I can go back to like old, I don't know, let's say Ram 1500s that had the center bench seat with the center console that would fold down. And you would try to use that as a work surface, but it was kind of like pretty far back, so it was kind of a pain. And then I've seen all of the Ram mounts for laptops, and that takes up a ton of passenger space. I don't know how auto manufacturers didn't catch on to that sooner, that you had this giant center console. And once they changed these trucks from shifting by cable to electronic shift by wire, they could have done this years ago. So I thought that interior work surface made the truck literally a mobile office, and I loved that. I miss it all of the time. It was also great for like stopping and eating on road trips, things like that. Just a really great spot, or even like taking notes, being on the phone with somebody, stopping and just having a spot to jot down some. It was awesome. Now I'm going to get into a bonus one here, and this is, I didn't really put it in the main list of 5 because it only really applies to people who are like wrenching on their trucks, which a lot of people don't. But for those who do, I miss not having a greased up frame. These GM trucks, they do this wax on the frame, and it's meant for corrosion resistance, all of whatever they claim it's for. But man, I tell you, with these trucks, you crawl underneath them, and even just looking at anything, you come back out and it looks like you just spent the last 2 days nonstop in the garage swapping an engine in a 1972 Ford Econoline. You just come out and you're just like covered in grease. It's like, and it's so hard to get off your hands. I don't know why in 2025 we don't have a manufacturing process where they can take those frames and run it through a powder coating process where there's no need to do any sort of coating because the thing is just covered in powder coat, never gonna rot out. There just seems like there's such better manufacturing opportunities out there than just doing raw steel, spraying it down with a bunch of grease, shipping it out the door, and making it a mechanic's nightmare. So I do miss the Ford frame as well. So while I do love this GM truck, and it has been rock solid for me at about 10,000 miles, my Ford could not even remotely say the same thing. I had nothing but problems with that truck. I've also owned a previous GM truck that was also a nightmare, much less of a nightmare than the Ford has or ever was. My take again on this is that every brand is becoming less and less reliable, less dependable in terms of like, you roll the dice, you buy a truck, and what do you get off the line? Everybody's got a different story. But I don't really believe in my identity being attached to any specific make or model, but I also understand that like trucks are such an extension of your personality. It's like kind of like dogs. You know, you look at an owner and their dog, and like you can almost see the owner and the dog like as a cohesive unit. And I think trucks are a lot the same way. So if you know a guy who's always driven Fords and he pulls up in a GM truck, it's like, I get it. But for me, I've just been burned by both Ford and GM in the past. And he would ask, why didn't I go with a Toyota? And I just, honestly, I don't like the look of the new Tundras. I just don't. And there was also that engine recall going on with Toyota at the time when I bought this truck. So just, it wasn't something I was even remotely interested in. Now, the old Tundra, if they would have kept it a V8 and not gone as, I don't know, the direction they did in the design, I almost guaranteed would have gone with a Toyota this time, but I just couldn't do it. Coming out of that V6 in the Ford, having those reliability issues with that twin turbo V6, and just looking at like another turboed V6 going like, I don't know, been there, done that, and just seeing this diesel as a much better option for me at the time. So again, I'm not incapable of, just because I own this truck, looking at it critically and saying, you know, it could do better in these certain areas. I don't tend, I'm sure I have a little bit of that bias of like, I paid for it, I bought it, so therefore it's good. I think we all do that. Like the things that we buy, all of a sudden, like it's like a justification to ourselves that we didn't waste our money on something that was dumb. So we all do it, we're all guilty of it, but I try really hard in this YouTube space to not be that guy and just openly share my experiences in these videos with people who are watching them, because I know I watch YouTube and it helps guide people in their decision-making process, and I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction. So with that said, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Turns out we're not 25 away, we're 25,000 away. We'll get there though. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow.